Welcome to the 11th annual Humanist Report Award Show, the most prestigious political award show on the internet. That's a pot shot at TYT for those who didn't catch it. I'm your host, Mike Figueredo, and 2025 has been a year, and there is a long list of both heroes and villains, mostly villains, but there's a long list. And what we do every single year, for those who are new, is I will nominate 4 people or organizations or events in 4 different categories, and I will put it up to a vote. So that way all of our viewers on Patreon, YouTube, and Twitter and Blue Sky get to decide the most badass moment, WTF moment, the scumbag of the year, the MVP of the year, so on and so forth. I'm also going to do something new where I'll just throw out random awards for people based on various criteria. Like, here's Cunt of the Year, Randy Fine. Congratulations, brother. But let's get to the first main category, which is WTF Moment of the Year. And to be able to narrow this down for me was actually impossible because the whole year, 2025, was just what the fuck? Nonetheless, here's my selection. Charlie Kirk's murder. This moment was obviously shocking, and the ensuing crackdown regarding censorship and the reaction from the right was in and of itself also shocking. But, you know, seeing him get assassinated was certainly up there in what the fuck moments. And I also nominated the Doge cuts because to see this criminal organization run by this ketamine-fueled billionaire just dismantle our government and access our data illegally and hijack entire agencies, this was actually genuinely shocking to see. I also nominated Trump's Epstein blunder as a WTF moment of the year because nobody has ever behaved as guilty in the history of guilty people as Donald Trump. And then my final nomination is Marjorie Taylor Greene's abrupt resignation. This was actually really crazy for me to see because, you know, I expected her to stay in office and grow increasingly disenchanted with Donald Trump and try to present herself as the alternative to him for a future run, but she just decided to duck out, and maybe she'll get involved in politics again in the future. Nonetheless, I just found it really shocking. But those are my nominations. Let's get to the results. So with more than 12,000 votes in total coming in, you all unequivocally said that Charlie Kirk's murder was indeed the biggest WTF moment of 2025, with the Doge cuts being the runner-up. Now, when you look at the results, it's clear that you all agreed across every single platform. 60%, 56%, and 49% on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Patreon, respectively, all said that that was indeed the WTF moment of the year. And I would have to say that I agree, kinda. I don't really know. All of this was equally WTF to me, but I understand why people chose that as the WTF moment because it really felt like a turning point, like a sort of Reichstag fire moment. So, yeah, that was the WTF moment of the year. But for a quick award, the Shut the Fuck Up award goes to John Fetterman. Congratulations, John Fetterman, for being an insufferable prick who just won't shut the fuck up. And I hope you enjoyed this award. And more importantly, I hope you take the hint and shut the fuck up. Now, with the bad comes the good as well, because this year also had some pretty encouraging moments. So here are my nominations for the most badass moment of the year. The first nomination is Mamdani's victory for obvious reasons. It was a really dark, terrible year. And then out of the blue, he clapped Cuomo's cheeks and killed that political dynasty, and you love to see it. I also nominated the heckling and roasting of Republicans at GOP town halls at a time when it seems like everything was just going off the rails in a terrible direction when Trump just took over and Doge was making all of these cuts. I got a little bit of hope seeing people show up and just put their own Congress people on blast. It's nice to see people get involved that way. My third nomination is Dick Cheney's death. This man is a mass murdering piece of shit. He has killed probably more than 1 million people, so it's unfortunate that he wasn't held accountable and his victims will never get the justice that they deserve. Nonetheless, it's still nice to know that he's not going to be around any longer to hurt more people. And then the next nomination for Badass Moment of the Year is the special elections that took place on Tuesday in November, where the Republican Party got blown the fuck out, and it was nice to see that there was indeed a backlash to everything that Donald Trump was doing. But those are my nominations. Let's get to the actual results. So with more than 11,000 votes in total, the winner of the Badass Moment of the Year by far is Zoran Mamdani's victory, with the special elections being the runner-up. Now, if you look at the results here, 80% on Blue Sky, 75% on YouTube, 85% on Patreon all agreed that that was indeed the best moment of the year. And I would have to agree because it gave us hope. It felt like there was never going to be a moment of hope again. And Zoran winning was very, very wonderful. It kind of like made me feel rejuvenated. And we needed that at that time. Now, hopefully he delivers. Hopefully he can do what he wants to do. And if that's the case, then, there's going to be some more badass moments to come. But for this year, Zoran gave us the dub that we desperately needed. But with that being said, I have another award to give out, just a quick award. And this award is going to go to Dr. Abdul El Sayed, who is running for the Senate in the state of Michigan. He gets the Badass Motherfucker Award for being a relentless warrior for Medicare for All. I hope he wins that seat, and I hope he gets the recognition that he deserves. So let's move into our two main categories, the Scumbag of the Year and MVP of the Year. This is where we crown our main villain and our main hero of the year. Let's start with Scumbag. So I'm going to get to the nominations first. This was very, very hard to come up with this list this year. This list could have been 20, 30 people. And I still wasn't satisfied when I put it up for a vote, but I had to do it because time was running out. I still feel like I could have reshuffled it. It was really hard. There's so many villains this year, but these are the four that I narrowed it down to. The first one is obviously Donald J. Trump. This man is destroying the fucking country in a plethora of ways. He is America's first actual dictator president, and he's destroying all of our institutions, the rule of law. He's benefiting financially from everything that's happening. I mean, he's a war criminal. What else is there to say? He's up here for obvious reasons. The next person that I nominated is Stephen Miller, because I do feel like he is pulling a lot of the levers of power in the sense that, Trump really listens to him. Trump values what he has to say. Trump is letting him basically control his immigration policy for all intents and purposes. It's very similar to the way that George W. Bush let Dick Cheney control all of his policy. And I think that Stephen Miller is that kind of an influential figure. And I think he's caused a lot of harm. I think that his neo-Nazi politics is extremely damaging. And I just feel like this man is a big piece of shit and will be all better when he's out of power. My third nominee is Elon Musk. Even though he's not as relevant today as he was at the beginning of the year, his Doge cuts were truly something that is just still so shocking to think about. And all of the cuts, like the USAID cuts, that's going to lead to hundreds of thousands of deaths. It already caused so many deaths. I mean, Social Security payments for the first time did not go out to certain people because he crippled that agency. He crippled agencies like the CFPB that were regulating his corrupt companies. And it's shocking that this man isn't in prison right now, and he needs to be. So that was an obvious nomination. And my last nomination is the ICE Gestapo, because these people are destroying this country. They are very, very similar to the Nazi brown shirts. They are rounding up immigrants. They're taking citizens. They're abusing their power, violating civil liberties, civil rights, and everything that they're doing is straight up illegal. They're not presenting warrants signed by judges. They're breaking the law, trespassing. I mean, everything that they're doing is so fucking shocking. So those are my four main nominations. But I mean, there's so many honorable mentions. Benjamin Netanyahu, Randy Fine, media figures in this space who are just championing Nazism. But before we get to the results, let's look back at the winners of the past. So as you can see, Netanyahu held onto this spot for the last 2 years, and he tied with Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell for having been winners twice. And last year, the runner-up was Trump's voters, seeing as how they obviously decided to hand the country over to fascists. And before that, it was Elon Musk who was the runner-up. But without further ado, let's get to the results. So with more than 14,000 votes, the winner of the Humanist Report Scumbag of the Year award goes to Donald J. Trump, making him the first person to win this award 3 times. And the runner-up is Stephen Miller. Now, when you look at the results, you can see that 55% of our YouTube audience voted for Donald Trump, and a plurality on Blue Sky and Patreon actually voted for Stephen Miller, I think because of the logic that I shared, where he really is the one who is taking advantage of this dementia-ridden president. But let's get to some comments because I wanted to hear what you all had to say about this. So Jameson on Patreon says, I really wanted to say Miller, but then that brings up, why not the thugs themselves? Ultimately, this could be stopped at any time by Trump, and he's fine with it. His whole administration is posting memes about the suffering of our neighbors being brutalized. Fuck all of them, but especially fuck Trump. Dave's Not Here 420 on Patreon says, I'm going to say Trump because with that bullshit immunity ruling, he'll probably avoid any punishment. The rest of them are fucked if we can wrestle the government away from them. Still would have liked an all of the above choice though, because I wouldn't piss on any of them if they were on fire. Jill Pearson on YouTube says, just remember Elon basically unilaterally killed 600,000 of the world's poorest people to make a bit more money, with millions more on their way. Red Mag on YouTube says, reminder, though USAID was a hotbed of CIA embedding and an arm of hegemonic soft power, the immediate gutting of that program caused the deaths of 600,000 people, mostly children. I think we're all sleeping on the fact that under that light, Musk is one of the most prolific mass murderers of modern times. Jack A Plus Pro on YouTube says, that's like an impossible question. They all have no redeeming factors. Signage on YouTube says, Gestapo thugs first because they don't have to do what they're doing, they choose to. Yeah. Guy Gadares on YouTube says, Ahmed from Sudan. Another honorable mention, absolutely. Autumn Finneck on YouTube says, the shriveled orange is how all of the others got their current levels of ability to commit horrific crimes with impunity. All of them are nightmares, but he's their current access point to power. And that brings us to our last category of the evening, which is the MVP award. But I have one extra random award to hand out, and it's to Candace Owens, who's getting our first ever I Don't Fuck With You But Keep It Up award for completely dividing the entire right with her non-stop conspiracy theories, her attacks on other right-wingers. I think that what she's doing is absolutely beneficial for the country because it's dividing the right and fractionalizing the right. So keep it up, Candace. You won an award on the Humanist Report award show, and it's not necessarily a bad one. It's kind of a good one. But without further ado, let's get to the best award ever. Listen, if you win this award, you're basically set for life. You can boast about this forever. You can put it on your resume and just like walk into any job and be like, I won the Humanist Report's MVP award. So I'll start on Monday. I can't even say it with a straight face. But, you know, this is our main award. So the MVP award is the best person in all of politics. And look, in a country like the United States of America, there's not a lot of good to go around, but I do like to honor the people who do a lot of good. So my nominations this year for MVP of 2025 are, of course, Zoran Mamdani. He didn't just give us hope. He expanded the realm of what's possible in the United States. He is helping to destigmatize socialism and mainstream socialism. And I mean, the guy is just truly a powerhouse. He's good at what he does. So I think he is somebody who is going to be able to direct American politics, hopefully in a better direction in the coming years. My second nomination is Miss Rachel, because this is a woman who just cares about children. And the fact that she decided to put it all on the line to condemn the genocide in Gaza, it is something that's brave because so many other people in Hollywood and around the world, they're staying silent because they don't want to jeopardize their careers. But Miss Rachel said, you know what? Fuck that. Children shouldn't be murdered, and I'm not afraid to say that. And we shouldn't be afraid to say that. So I want to send some positivity her way after she was nominated for Anti-Semite of the Year by the Stop Zionism organization, which is just fucking stupid. My next nominee is Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I don't usually nominate candidates for congressional office unless they win or accomplish something, but Kat isn't just running for office in one of the best, most inspiring campaigns since Zoran Mamdani. She actually put her body on the line and is now paying for it. She got indicted by the federal government for obstructing ICE, and they're trying to, throw these political charges at her to stop her, but I think it's just going to fuel her even more, and I think that her badassery needs some recognition. And my final nomination is the Gaza Flotilla activists. This is actually a collective of people, including Chris Smalls, Greta Thunberg, and others, because they literally put their lives on the line. They knew that they were going to be captured, potentially bombed by Israel. Some of them were abused. Greta Thunberg was forced to kiss the flag, and she knew this is what they would do to her, but she did this because she wanted to break the blockade, because people needed to know about the starvation taking place in Gaza that was deliberate, and I just find this so fucking encouraging. These people are literal heroes, and they need some recognition. But before we get to the results, let's take a look at the history of the MVP award, because this award has been dominated by one man, and that person is Bernie Sanders. As you can see, he won 8 years in a row from 2015 to 2022 until he finally got knocked off in 2023 by Rashida Tlaib because he wasn't nominated by me due to his refusal to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, the following year, he actually did start to call for a ceasefire as well as an arms embargo, which led to him being nominated again, since he was basically the only senator that was doing that, but he still wouldn't call it a genocide, and for that reason, he kind of slipped behind in favorability, which paved the way for Jon Stewart to win in 2024, which is when he returned to The Daily Show at the best possible moment, which was incredibly soothing to millennials like myself who enjoyed his wit and sharp commentary. And at a really dark, depressing time, it was just so nice to have Jon Stewart back. But this year, we have a brand new winner on the list, so let's get to the results. With nearly 9,000 votes cast across multiple platforms, the winner of the Humanist Report's MVP of 2025 goes to Zoran Mamdani. Obviously, it was always going to be Zoran Mamdani, and this is not a surprising result to me. And the runner-up is the Gaza Flotilla activists for their courage and bravery and shedding light on a genocide and Israel's mass starvation campaign. But let's get to some comments, because you all had a lot to say about these nominations. Raymond Rogers on Patreon says, Miss Rachel never asked to be political, yet she's handling it like a boss. Jim D. Bartolo on Patreon says, all amazing people and options, but Zoran and his victory and on-message progressivism is my choice. He's showing that running on leftism, Dem socialism is possible by winning, setting the winning example for other Dems to follow for a possibly better future. But damn, I love Kat, and Miss Rachel is a beacon for us all, and the Gaza Flotilla activists are brave as fuck in the face of horrors. Skyla on Patreon says, for me, it's the activists. That's putting your life out there and on the line, more like the unsung heroes of the protest world. Wesman44 on YouTube says, Miss Rachel is incredibly inspiring since her career was not tied to politics or activism. She just saw children suffering and couldn't just look the other way. The amount of hate she has had to endure is staggering. She is a powerful symbol of care and empathy in the face of unapologetic dehumanization. Parker402 writes, the man who threw the sandwich at the police officer in D.C. Casey O'Leary on YouTube says, for me, it's a tie between Kat and the Flotilla activists because they're quite literally putting their bodies on the line to stand up to the ICE Gestapo and the genocidal Israeli government, respectively. The courage they've shown to help their fellow human beings is inspirational. NSN on YouTube says, the impact that Zoran has already had and will continue to have is absolutely a political earthquake. The strongest forces politically that have controlled America and to an extent the world have been abusive corporate Zionist AIPAC white supremacist racist. He has shattered their hold on political victory. There is hope in these dark times that change will actually happen. F21 on YouTube says, anyone standing on the side of good is an MVP. All of them, the known and the unknown. Your energy matters. Make sure that you're on the right side of history. And last but not least, Mushroom Dude on YouTube writes, Zoran's victory gave me so much hope that I didn't know I could feel. Like that will have such a positive impact on the future of politics. So those are the results. And I lied because there's one last award to give out. It's the I Love You Award. And that goes to you, viewers. Now that I've bribed you, hit that like button because, putting out this award show, it's a lot of work. We've got to hire a set designer. We've got to rent a stage for it. We've got to work with the committee to come up with the nominations. I'm just going to stop talking. I'm delirious at this point. Listen, I want to know what you all thought. If the people weren't nominated that you thought should be nominated, sound off down below because I think you all have really good insight. I'd like to know particularly your Scumbag and MVP of the year. I think those are the most interesting categories to me. So yeah, definitely sound off down below. But we'll see you next year for the 12th Humanist Report Awards. I'm Mike Figueredo, your host. Good night, everybody.
Up yours, up yours, up yours.
Sons of bitches.
Woke moralist, woke moralist, woke moralist.
I dreamed I saw my maternal grandmother. She was stroking herself absent-mindedly. I let her have her way. Her genital region was exposed. I let her have her way.